Greetings, magnificent souls, to the Lily Bewley podcast, where we have open and honest discussions about ourselves. This is your host, Lily Bewley, and I'm honored to have conversations here with thought leaders, visionaries, healers, and even solo conversations with myself about things I am currently reflecting on. This is a place where we break down, break away, and break through our emotional trauma, allowing ourselves to be healthy, be happy, and live a peaceful life. We are tired of being sick and tired. We are tired, but we are not giving up. We know that there is something magnificent inside of us. And because we are fighting daily, hourly, by the minute, fighting ourselves, our kids, our spouses, we have to do things differently. We have to break the cycle. We don't have a million chances. We have to be happy now. We have to find a way. So how do we do that? How is that possible? If you look around at what society is telling you, they tell you that what we're doing is impossible. Yet it's happening every single day. And it's happening through the practice and the love that we call awakening the magnificent soul. We are all magnificent souls, and these are our stories of healing. Today in episode 95, I welcome Laura Gevanter to the show to talk about energetic alignment and the subconscious mind. Before we get started, don't forget to let me know your thoughts about this episode or anything you'd like me to cover on future podcasts at epiphanyvault.com. Remember, it is a safe place and I would welcome the discussion. Also, I do have one program announcement today. I am currently enrolling in the Date with Ease coaching program. This program is for you if you are a man or if you are a woman who would really love to date with confidence so that you can find epic, extraordinary love. And all of this is done in the Date with Authenticity framework that I have and many of my clients have used. Typically, my clients tell me that they are 100% more clear on who is good for them and who is not. And 9 out of 10 of them are feeling much more at ease with being single and on the dating scene. Only a few very specific types of people will be granted access to this program, and I will link up the details in the show notes. And also, finally, a request. If you are enjoying the show, please rate and share so we can get the word out to more and more souls who want to heal. And on to the show today. My guest today, Laura Gevanter, has been a law of attraction and energy alignment coach for 10 years, and 3 years ago expanded her process by incorporating the PSYCH-K modality, which releases limiting beliefs by imprinting new empowering ones into the subconscious mind. She believes everyone has the answers within themselves and just needs the proper guide to help them see. I really hope you enjoy this conversation with my guest, Laura Gevanter. Laura, thank you for coming on the show. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today.
Such a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited.
Yes, I'm so interested about you, about how you kind of got in this space. I love how you talk about alignment because alignment is a big theme in my life. All the listeners know this, but I have an alignment day every week, and I protect that like I protect everything. Like if I don't have that during the week, then it's not the week does not look good. But I would love to know like how did you get into this alignment space? I know that you've kind of been in this space for a while, right? Personal development. So how would you define and how would you define alignment?
So I define alignment from an energetic perspective. So to me, alignment, when you're aligned, the inner is going to match the outer. Okay. The inner meaning, your thoughts, your beliefs, what you're saying is in alignment, is in coherence with what you desire on the outside. Because there's an energy, I come from when I did law of attraction coaching, which I've been doing for many years before I kind of transitioned into the Psych-K work, which we can talk about more.
Totally.
It was all about energy. It was all about vibration. It was all about what are you putting out into the universe? Because that's what you're going to attract back, like attracts like. So to me, I couldn't see doing any kind of coaching that wasn't going to deal with being aligned, because otherwise you're doing tasks and you're going to struggle with them. You're going to have a really hard time getting what you want if you're doing affirmations or you're taking certain action and your beliefs are telling you you're not worthy, you can't do it, you're an imposter, all the negative self-talk that so many of us have, it's really going to be a struggle. So if I can help people get aligned on the inside, the outside result is going to be much more with what they're desiring.
Wow. And that like is so powerful, right? Because I feel, personally, I've experienced that, right? And I feel like that's the challenge with personal development is that, like I talk about boundaries a lot, like, right. So how do I express exactly what I need so my inner matches my outer, right? And like the relationship piece, it's so important.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with relationships. That's why men in relationships either click or they don't click because you're either in alignment with someone energetically or you're not. And what can happen over time is one person can grow, can evolve, can become more conscious. The other person does not. All of a sudden, you're not energetically aligned anymore and you start having problems in the relationship. And you know what? It's not a bad thing always to just say, you know what, this served its purpose. We're no longer on the same page and to move on. Easier said than done many times because there's still all the emotions and all that. But it's the same thing with a job. You can be in a job for a while and then all of a sudden you're out of alignment with it. It's like it's not fulfilling you anymore. Many times you'll get fired. Like the energy works in it like it finds its match, it finds its level. And if it's not, there's not this coherence, there will be, it'll manifest somehow in a way that's going to feel uncomfortable. And that's either going to cause you to take some action or it's going to take some action for you and kick you in the ass.
Well, that's a great question, I think maybe to go to, which is like, how does someone know if they're out of alignment, right? So like, like with relationships, I think it's pretty evident, right? Like there are a lot of things, but like, as far as an inner, like self-work type of thing, how would someone notice if they are feeling out of alignment?
Well, generally, and then we can talk specifically in relationships. So generally, if you're out of alignment, you're going to come across obstacles and blocks to what you want. You can develop an illness or some kind of pain in the body if there's something that you're not dealing with. And it's just your body's going to be speaking to you. Your body's going to just tell you, you know what, this is not working for you anymore. Or if you're having trouble reaching a desired goal, whether that is a sustainable relationship, whether that is something else. When you're having difficulty achieving something, you're out of alignment. So that's the first thing that you'll notice is that, wow, this isn't happening with ease. Because that's the beautiful thing that happens when you're in alignment. You notice just things just come easily to you. So with relationships, you can find yourself either repeating a pattern that's not working because you haven't dealt with whatever that issue is that keeps manifesting, or you're going to find your relationships are going to start out a certain way, and then after a short period of time, they're not going to work for some reason. It's like there's not an alignment there. So there may be an attraction, but if you're not aligned on deeper levels, that's when you may start seeing some issues and problems arise, or some self-sabotaging, someone cheating, someone, if it's, that's how things can show up. They don't always have to be, they can show up in a way that your subconscious is going to sabotage something because it's not the right thing. It's not what's been programmed in there.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it sounds like like when you are in alignment, then there, like you said, there's kind of like ease and flow and how else would you, yeah, it feels good. Right.
Feels good. Things come easily. You have opportunities that you wouldn't have. You can manifest things and they seem to come out of the blue. That's kind of what I mean by ease, is that you're kind of just like much more open as opposed to being constricted. Another way also that we can be out of alignment is to be too attached to a result.
Yes.
Okay, so if there's a fine line between getting really clear on your goals and really having the clarification, writing it out and putting it out there in the universe, and then just saying it has to show up like this, or I have to have this thing in order to be happy. That's when we have attachment, and that's what's going to get in your way. So it's a fine line, because we hear, wait a minute, you're just telling me I'm supposed to get really specific, and then you're saying it may show up another way. That's
right. Ooh, yeah. Oh gosh, my brain's like going crazy because I feel like we're dabbling in so many different things. But I think in general, I absolutely 100%. Um, what would you say to someone like me who, when you say that, not now, but maybe in a previous life, maybe 5 years ago when I was really struggling in a lot of areas in my life. And I would hear somebody say, oh, like it has to feel easy, it has to feel flowy, it has to feel what have you. And maybe I had a bad relationship with like law of attraction, with like daily affirmations, or even gratitude was hard for me. And I felt even false at some points,
Mhm.
um, with those practices for whatever reason. So I'm wondering, and I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but I
Yeah,
would love to
probably
hear
do.
kind of what, yeah, but I would
Well,
love to hear
maybe,
what,
maybe.
maybe, yeah, like I'd love your take on that, because this is why I'm asking the question, is because most of my audience is like me. So I kind of want to put that and presence that and say it's normal, first of all, and then also get your take on that.
Yeah, it is very normal. And being a law of attraction coach for so many years, this was something that, you work with someone, you find out what the beliefs are, you find out like what's going on. And then there was a lot of self work that they needed to do. And I call it like,
Mm,
you're journaling, you're visualizing, you're doing affirmations, you're doing all these things. If they're not done consistently, they're not going to really be of much use to you. And that's where my frustration came. And that's why I went and I got trained in this modality PSYCH-K, because
mm,
to me, it cut right to the chase. I call it the power tool of the law of attraction. And I'll explain I'll explain what it is, and I'll explain why that is.
yeah.
So PSYCH-K is spelled PSYCH-K, and it stands for Key to Sustainable Change in the Psyche. I know that's a lot, but it's a way to communicate directly with the subconscious mind. So if you're saying your affirmations every day and you're saying them and they're like, like you said, I feel like it's not doing anything. It's not lighting me up. I feel false. I feel like I'm pretending. It's not going to do any good. I mean, eventually, if you keep doing them over and over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's going to have some impact. Same thing with visualization. Some people aren't good at visualizing, I hear that all the time. Oh, I'm not good at this, or I'm stressing, or I can't see it, or I can't imagine it. So it was leaving so much of the work for the client to like go off and
Yes.
do it themselves. So what PSYCH-K does, it's a way that we can find out exactly what's been programmed in the subconscious. And it's very important to note that from 0 to 7 years old, you're in programming mode. I don't know how much your audience knows about this, but the subconscious is my thing. That's
Yeah.
where I
Well,
focus.
hey, permission to geek out.
Okay. So what happens is that, and I won't go too much into the science, but just a little, because it's really interesting. So from 0 to 7 years old, we're in what's called theta mode. Theta is pretty much, you're in this meditative state and you're just a sponge and you're absorbing everything around you. So
Mhm.
you're observing what your parents are saying to you. You're observing what you're seeing. You're just soaking it all in. And this is when you're making decisions about life. You're making
Mhm.
decisions. Is it safe? Is it unsafe? Am I worthy? Am I unworthy? You're making these decisions and they're getting programmed into your subconscious like you would a computer. Okay. We don't know what's been programmed unless we actually go in and ask it and test it. So if somebody is trying to make some change in their life and saying, okay, oh, I know the law of attraction. I know if I get my vibration up and I know if I do
Mm,
this work, then I'm going to attract what I want. Well, what if your beliefs are telling you otherwise? What if your beliefs are telling you it's really difficult for you to make a lot of money? What if your beliefs are telling you it's
mhm.
really difficult to lose weight, or you're not worthy of having this? It's going to be much more difficult. So PSYCH-K is a process that uses muscle testing, and we can test the two main, I'll just go into the two main areas that's used, because you can get very deep with this and do health related stuff and messages in the body, really, really cool stuff. But the two main times you would use this is for limiting beliefs and for stress triggers. And the reason
Mm,
is, especially with stress triggers of past trauma, is that your subconscious is always in the present tense. Okay. So if you experienced a trauma in your past, it's going to get locked in the body Okay. One hemisphere of the brain is going to be dominant. It's going to lock this in, the emotion behind it, so that hopefully you will never get that into that experience again in the future. So just say you almost drowned when you were 3 years old. You know, they pulled you out, resuscitated you, whatever. You can go near water now, and you may just have this feeling of terror in your body. Why? Your subconscious thinks you're going to drown again. So what we can do is we can actually change the perception of a past trauma by going in, okay? And what we do is we get you into what's called a whole brain state, which means the right and left hemispheres of the brain are in sync. So now they're communicating, which it's much less resistant to receiving new information. So now you are re-perceiving the trauma from a state of calmness, of peace, of having the processing capabilities of both hemispheres. So now it just becomes an event that happened in your past, and there's no emotional charge to it. Super powerful. I mean, incredibly powerful. And what this is doing, and this is why I call it the power tool of the law of attraction, is that you're permanently raising your vibration, because now you no longer have a trigger that's actually going to bring you down, that's going to cause this continued obstacle or prevent you from taking action and so forth. The other time we use it is for limiting beliefs. So say, you know, you're trying to use the law of attraction to create something. Okay, so you wrote down all these affirmations. Well, what if we go and we actually test and see if the subconscious agrees with these affirmations? Okay, so just say somebody desires to get into a loving relationship and they haven't had much success in the past. So there's probably a story going on that,
oh yeah,
I'm not lovable, you know, it's difficult to find the right partner, whatever stories are going on. So we would create a goal statement. So just say, it is easy for me to find a partner for a loving relationship. We would now muscle test it. So I would have you say the statement and we muscle test it. If your subconscious doesn't agree with that statement, the body's going to go weak, because when it doesn't agree with what's been programmed, it causes stress in the body. So now we know, sorry, Lily, you know what? Doesn't agree. Try again. But now we can go in a whole brain state and actually input this new belief by repetition in this whole brain state. Now we post test, and now it tests strong. We've actually rewritten the program in the computer, also known as the subconscious. So now it believes it is easy for you to have a loving relationship, you know, and whatever the statement was.
Interesting. I've never heard of this modality. We talk a lot about modalities here on the show. It sounds like magic.
It can
I'll be honest.
It can feel like magic. Okay, you want to get to magic? So I can do this work. I do this work remotely. Okay, how is that done? Okay, you're muscle testing. It's called surrogation, and I get permission from your superconscious, from your higher self, that it's safe and appropriate for me to muscle test on your behalf. And then when we will test, my name is Laura, my name is Lily. I will now test strong for you. And now you're doing the actual positions. It's just crossing certain, you know, arms and ankles. But I'm doing the muscle testing. So that's where it really seems like magic. And cool. It can be, because you know what? Many times you only need to do it once, and it is forever changed. The only time you will have to revisit a specific goal is if there's a secondary gain, which means you're benefiting by not making this change, or there's some supporting beliefs that need to be done as well.
Like safety type of things? Is that?
Safety, what the subconscious perceives as being safety, right? It's like saying, or you're getting a benefit. Let me think of an example. You're trying to cut down on buying luxury items because you want to save money, but yet buying expensive things makes you feel wealthy. It makes you feel abundant. So you're getting something, like, even though you're trying to save money and you know it's in your best interest, you're actually gaining something by buying these luxury items that are probably you should be spending. You're getting something from it. That's just one example.
I feel like that comes up for me when like, I love fine dining. I love fine dining. It like hits all of the points for me. Like, I love like food. I love being served.
Mhm.
I love taking care of people like my servers. 'Cause I'm from the service industry in a previous life. Like, I love quality time. So even if I go by myself or even if I go with someone else, it's like all of the things. But what you're talking about exactly, like it costs, it's money, like it costs money. So for me, it's like that balance of trying to figure out ways to like allow myself to do things
Yeah.
that really light me up. And it sounds like what you're talking about, I could be wrong, but the way that I'm kind of
Mhm.
aligning with it is that the work that you do, it helps you maybe be open to possibilities of being balanced in that way. Does that make sense? Or is that true? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the secondary gains are not that common.
Okay. Okay.
That's just an example of when you would need to like revisit a specific goal. Because
Hmm.
usually we find, that this is the work that I do as a coach, is working with someone to find the statement that's really going to be what they're looking for.
Got you.
But yeah, I mean, the whole process itself, people have to come in with an open mind and
Hmm.
just like be curious. That's the one thing
Hmm.
they say in the PSYCH-K training is be curious. Don't bring any preconceived or what you think it is. It's like, wow, when we're curious about, I don't know, this is what it's telling us, let's go with it. That's when the
Yeah.
magic happens, because that's when you can go down this path and you can really get to the gems and really find out
Yes.
what's underneath this. Because it's not always
Yes.
what people think it is. People think they have a certain issue, right? And then you talk a little and you find out, oh, it's not really this, it's that. It's that thing
Yeah. And
underneath.
I feel like too, and I always say that, I always in a different way, I say seek to understand instead of like seek to something else.
Yes.
Um, but I also think people too, with like, I had this conversation recently with someone else, but like there's so much information out there, right? Like we could go online and Google all of these like symptoms and like how to have a loving relationship, or like Instagram is like there's like we could spend our whole lives like looking at information. And I think I can't remember why I started talking about that, but I think that like um the way to get in to make those changes is not that. Like it's like I think that's the value of like a coaching container, is what you're talking about, is that like other people can see your patterns or see see things in a different way for you because you can't see it yourself, and then that like we work together to try to get to that point. And this psyche is like is dope. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I do is I send people a pre-session form. So they're answering some questions. And when I review it, I'm also very intuitive, and I can zero in on something and be like, oh, ask them about this. But I can connect dots
Yes.
that, oh, this is 3 times on the sheet. The person has mentioned, ooh, worthiness, or, certain things I
Mm,
mentioned. It's like, okay, I circle them. It's like, okay, this is showing up in different areas of their life. What's going on here? Or looking at, ooh, what past, trauma have you experienced? Oh, I have my relationship with my mother was okay. So, and it's like, you can kind of navigate through that, and definitely find out um, what's standing at in a place where someone else may not look. We don't look at our own beliefs. It's not something we do. It's not
mhm.
something we're taught to do. We don't examine what our own beliefs are. We just try to like take on a new statement that we want to embody and say, okay, I'm just gonna declare this as mine. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it does. There have been things in my life where I've decided this is the way it's going to be, and it has worked out that way.
Mhm.
But because the subconscious mind is like a computer that's been programmed. It's so much easier if you can just find out what's the programming is and just change it. And then the subconscious can actually be your best friend as opposed to being your biggest enemy. And I think Freud has given the subconscious a bad rap by being like, oh no, the
Mhm.
subconscious, don't go there. It's dark, it's scary. It's like, we don't want to go there. It can actually be your best friend. So you look at what's going on, what's showing up in your life that you're not happy with, and let's find out what's going on here. So I love it. To me, it's like mining. It's like mining for diamonds.
Yeah. I love that. Everyone likes diamonds. So I wonder if we could maybe pull apart a lot of those things that we we just discussed. Like stress triggers came up for me, during that beautiful conversation. So can you explain what a stress trigger is and how
Yeah.
our experiences and trauma play out with that?
Yeah, stress triggers are, we all experience in one way or another. We all, probably to some degree, to some people, it's very apparent. People that are having anxiety attacks and so forth. And to other people, it's just like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Why didn't you? I don't know. I don't want to do that. Right. So we don't know.
Mm,
Stress trigger is where something you've experienced or something you witnessed at an earlier time in your life is playing out now in the present tense. Okay. So when you think of a certain thing, you may get a knot in your stomach. When you witness something, you may not even recall as a child when you witnessed it, but you did, and it's filed back there. You may get that feeling. Or if there's something you want to attempt that is scaring you to death, it's just the thought of it
mm,
is scaring you. And it may be that in the past, you've had a failure. You've done something that you made a fool of yourself or you failed. So now it's actually a protection to keep you safe, like you said, or to keep you from being uncomfortable again. So stress triggers, or it could be past trauma.
yeah.
A lot of my clients have had really horrific childhoods in trauma and abuse that to this day as an adult, they're trying to do certain things, but they were told, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you don't amount to anything. Why do you want to do that? Who cares what you think? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to hear what a lot of people have been through. So
Mm-hmm.
what happens is that, I have a client who's writing this book, it's this exciting, this beautiful opportunity. And she keeps, what if nobody likes it? Who am I to be writing a book? And then we find out her father was like, who cares what you think? You can find
Yeah.
out where this is coming from. And of course she's going to be terrified to put this book out into the world. So it's like, okay, let's do a balance to remove the trigger.
Mm.
And it's great because in a matter of minutes, you can go from a place of feeling really discomfort to feeling completely at peace. At the worst, you'll feel a state of neutrality. The best, you feel calm, you feel peaceful. And then the really cool thing is that after the session is over, maybe days or weeks later, you'll notice, wow, I didn't get triggered anymore. Wow, I'm thinking this thought and I don't care. And that's how you know
Mm.
it's gone. It's gone. Really
Wow.
cool. Powerful
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. So amazing. I know it seems like you kind of work with a lot of different people, like with different things. Is that true? Like,
Oh
and if
yeah.
that's true, kind of
That's
like what's your favorite thing to work on? Like your favorite,
um
kind of pain point?
probably yeah, I do. I work with a ton. Everyone's coming in with imposter syndrome, which is very interesting. They're trying to do things and they're just like, I'm like, well, who you feel like being an imposter of? Like what, which is
Mm,
it's fascinating to me because they're all using that same word. A lot of worthiness issues, self-confidence, um, but basically you name it. I did a group for weight loss. People have lots of beliefs about their ability to lose weight.
hmm.
It's not just, I mean, as you probably know, it's never just the diet and exercise. It's the mindset. What are the
Oh no.
beliefs? What are your beliefs? Or maybe it's not safe for you to lose weight. Maybe there's some safety that's keeping this
Mm,
extra weight on is giving you. But my favorite thing to work with people is when the health issues, and that's when we really get into health issues that come from emotional things that haven't been healed or resolved. So they are
100%.
rooted in the body, and we can find out, when this thing started, why it started. We can find out why this is very interesting, and most people won't know this. Allergies are usually caused by a person, a place, or a situation. It's actually an adverse reaction in the body,
Hmm.
which I was kind of blown away that you can go to what was going on in your life when you got this allergy. And if we transform that, whatever that event was, many times the allergies clear up, which is
Hmm.
really incredible. But people that have chronic health, health issues, oh, I've had this back pain for whatever, and I've gone to chiropractors and this and what, and they can't diagnose it. And then I work
Hmm.
with someone and I find out, oh, their mother always told them, I had this one client I'm thinking of. She's this beautiful woman, just gorgeous woman. Her mother always told her, to be a model, but yet she wasn't this enough or wasn't that enough. And she would cut her body, she'd put other faces on her body. I mean, just really cruel, horrific things. So here she was, like, afraid to show up in the world because of all this. I mean, I think it's psychological abuse that her mother gave her, and it was manifesting in her back, which is your lower back is your foundation. It's your security. It's your,
support.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Perfect. That was what I was looking for.
Mhm.
And we did one session. And 2 days later, she texts me. She's like, my back pain's gone. I keep waiting for it to come back. It never came back again. So that kind of stuff, when it's so life-changing for people, is what gets me really excited.
Yeah, I love, this is what this is what I really love about this space that I've created, is that I've had all these different types of people like you on here. I've had like past lives people. I've had, I've had all these great, people have been on Oprah, like all this stuff. And it's like, I love how, like, just this community and like you and me and having this conversation, we're just open to, like we're talking about, like, be curious and open and seek to understand and just for that, the better of everyone, like well-being and everything like that. I just feel really a lot of gratitude flowing through. So I just want to extend that to you. And um I also, it is remarkable, like, for lack of a better term, like remarkable how disconnected that we are from our bodies, like
No, for
just
sure.
like sitting in that, right? And I not that I know of, although I think now that a lot of my female pains have been around like mothering and nurturing, now that I know that, but I would never have known that before, like, I started this work. And I really just want to lend a lot of presence to what you're saying here, Laura, because I talked about codependency like a long time ago, not a long time, 4 years, 4 years ago, and started talking
That
about
could
how
be
I
a long
really,
time. It's all
yeah, I
relative.
know, like, yeah, but like how it was a really disconnection from myself. So that's where I started. And then I started to learn about trauma. I started to learn about healing. I started to learn about all that, and then I started to heal myself. And what I realized is that the connection with our bodies, like you're saying, it can manifest in like all these things like autoimmune diseases, IBS, back problems, all of this stuff. Like, even someone close to me is having, skull deterioration, like, and not to say that this is the answer, y'all, not to, like, at least that's my view. This isn't the answer, but it's a part of the puzzle. And it's like healers like you, healers like me. There's a lot of different healers out there, but I think what I want to say is that, like, the body is part of us. It's not like just mental health. It's like whole health. It's not just, it's not just, oh, you have this symptom of autoimmune disease or what have you. It's like, what's real, like, what is the internal system of what's going on with your emotions, with your like lymphatic, like, there's so much stuff. And we have all of these different great experts and great practitioners out there. I was working with a client last night, actually, who, like, anytime she'll, like, I do relationships, right? And so anytime she maybe is too sexual with somebody before her emotions are there, or it's like a bad connection at the beginning, she gets a yeast infection. I'm like, girl, what do you think that your body is telling you right now? Like, how do you think your body would respond if you actually let someone, lack for a better term, like, be with you or enter you, like, if it was safe, right? So emotionally safe, right? So, like, oh, I get so much chills just talking about this because it's wild. It is
I'm
wild.
so glad you brought this up, because I am such a proponent of this. I also, I'm also very much into holistic health, and I've been brought up that way, and that's how I live my life. So to me, it's all about connection to the body. As a matter of fact, I just wrote a document yesterday about 6 ways your subconscious is speaking to you, right? Speaking to you in your body. I mean, it's your body is, yeah, we're not taught to be connected with our body. We're taught to mask a symptom. Okay, you have a symptom, you take this thing, the symptom goes away. No, your body's talking to you. It's telling you something. I am so in tune with my body that if something is a little tiny thing off, I'm just like, okay, what's going on? You know, I'm not a hypochondriac. I don't want to like this. There's the other extreme where people are imagining they have illnesses. I'm not talking about that. I'm agreeing with you in that, like, yeah, the yeast infection was a perfect example. And I had a similar experience years ago. I was dating someone that it was just not a good fit. It was not a good fit. And I got some kind of infection that I've never had before. And it's like my body was completely rejecting. Not only did I know, you know, what are you doing? What are you doing? But your body will reject it. It's like, it will speak to you and it's going to get louder and louder until you pay attention to it. And it'll start out as something small and then it's going to get bigger. But here's the thing too, is that, and it's kind of really tricky to figure out what it is. That's the part, like you can have something and say, okay, you know, that's where the digging comes in. And that's where it can be really tricky because it could be something that happened when you were younger. You had an experience when you were younger, but it's playing out now in a different form. So something's going to happen in the body, right? So maybe something that had in a relationship years ago, but you're in a relationship now, it's different. You can't exactly pinpoint it, but it's a similar kind of emotion. So, interesting. This thing is going on. It's trying to get my attention. What is it telling me? So I love that you brought that up because I don't believe we could really, really heal ourselves if we're not paying attention and giving our body what it needs. People don't even drink enough water or, you know, eat. Like, wow, what does my body want? What does it need? I mean, that's the basic. Do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to rest? Do I need to drink? That's the basic. And then you can get into more, you know what? I have this weird symptom and there's this thing in my life that's really not working right now. Okay, let me address this.
Yeah. And I think like, it's just, there's so much power that I feel like we're reclaiming when we say like we aren't going to be pathologized right into like these certain like symptoms or silos or like I have this disease or I have this or what have you. Like my mentor calls it a response, right? Like everything is a response, whether that be like anxious attachment response or whether that be anxiety, you know, disorder. It's like an anxiety response. And I love that because it's a reframe. Like it's a reframe on asking that question of, you know, not what's wrong with me, but like, what is this trying to tell me? Right. And I think that like that shift is like so like self-honoring and so kind and so like compassionate to yourself when you're doing like what you're talking about, which is like, you know, like it bothers me how people are so pathologized about this stuff. And I don't know. I get on my thing about this.
No, I am so with you. And one of the things that I just got this thing about, like all the whole self-help thing is trying to fix what's wrong with you. And I say it on my website. There's nothing wrong with you. Like there's nothing that needs to be fixed. And it's the same thing with, okay, wow, there's something wrong with your body. Let's just fix it. Let's just like, you know, erase it or, you know, cover it up with a Band-Aid or something, or give it some medication where no, you're right. It's a response to something. It's just speaking to you. And it takes the blame that we, you know, created something, which also is a very tricky thing in the law of attraction kind of world as well. That just came up the other day, where people are, if I can create my world and my outcome, then, if I'm manifesting this thing that I created, it's my fault. And it's just like, we don't know. There's so much we don't know with what we are putting out and what we are bringing back. Right. So there's deliberate creation and there's creation by default. Right. So when you're deliberately creating, you're being mindful, you're saying certain things, you're acting in a certain way. When you're creating by default, you're just kind of going through and, you know, you may have negative self-talk, you may be doing these things. And that's when things may manifest because you're just not paying attention, or you're giving it the wrong attention. You're giving it the negative stuff. But that's the whole thing about fixing things and the blame that, I must have created this. And then and I tell people, we're hard enough on ourselves as it is. We beat ourselves
Yeah.
up all the time. Like, don't go
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah, all of that. And I like what I always like to say too is like there is a better way. And a lot of that way I feel like is stuff that we like I feel like trauma just narrows down like our scope of vision, right? Like into this little pinpoint. And yeah, what I just like I said, I really just love talking about all these different kind of practitioners, right? Because there are all these ways to go about it. There's no one way, I feel like
Mhm,
there's
mhm.
like all these different ways of like beautiful healing and everything like that. But there's so many ways. Like there's not just like this one path where you have to walk down. Like law of attraction is not the way. It's not the
No,
one way, right? Yeah. Mm,
no, and some people are into doing, ritualistic things, and there are people that are
right.
like, I did for a couple of days and I stopped.
Right.
And when I realized that, it's just like, wow, I want a modality. I want to help people more. I want to take some of
Yeah.
like the, let's just make it easier. Let's just find out. And then, people find their thing. And I found, when I
So
did my
good.
coach training, I said, oh, I found my thing. And it's like, then I did PSYCH-K. I'm like, no, I really found my thing. But,
Yes.
I'm one of these, like, I'm a lifelong learner. I love studying. Like, the
Same.
more into the science, the more out there, the more I'm into it. So, it just keeps evolving. And I think the more, we can just bring more to the table is the way I look at
Totally.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's so good. Ooh, I just love these combos so much.
Mm.
I do kind of want to kind of close it up and ask, what are you working on right now, if anything? And then also, if someone's interested in learning about you and your work, where do we find you?
Well, you can reach me at my website, which is lauragevanter.com. It's just LauraGevanter.com. What am I working on right now? Well, I do a lot of the work that I do, or most of the work does deal with different elements of the subconscious. So I actually, not sure exactly when, but I'm going to be doing a 4-part class on how your home is a 3D 24/7 vision board. So, what
Ooh.
that means is that your home actually imprints into your subconscious, and it also reflects what you see. So it's a two-way
Mm,
thing. You're actually getting information, you're imprinting it. And when people have this knowledge and they can make changes, you're actually creating a home environment that's supporting what you want. So it's a
mm.
little different than my other work, but I just taught a workshop on creating vision boards to activate your subconscious mind. So I love combining like the outer stuff with this work and just helping people in ways that they may not have, been exposed to before.
Sounds like alignment to me.
Yeah, it's fair. It is total alignment. It's just making it into the 3D even more so.
Yeah.
And I do private sessions remotely and occasionally in person now, but not so much. Most of my work is remote.
Good. Well, thank you so much for sharing your love of your practice and your purpose here. It was really amazing getting to know
Oh, it
you and
was such a
talking to you.
pleasure. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
having me.
it's my pleasure.